it going, everyone? Today we're going to be replacing and rebuilding a CV axle on a Saab 9000 Aero with a 5-speed manual transmission. Before we get into this video, I just wanted to ask that you check out my Patreon that I just launched. You can click the link at the top of the description to visit my new page. I've offered 4 different tier levels with a variety of different rewards, such as getting your name at the end of my videos, bonus content, or access to videos before the rest of YouTube. It will allow me to dump more money into repairs, upgrades, and better filming equipment. Anyways, check it out if you're interested. Now back to your scheduled mediocre content. There's a lot of intricacies and technicalities to go along with this video, so if you're someone who likes that, then stay tuned. But I'm going to show you guys all the work we did to get this thing back on the road, starting right now.
Hello, my name is Boomer. I drive a Biscuit and his name is Larry. This is Larry's legs. Larry broke his leg the other day, so we're going to give him a new one.
And who is Larry, for those who don't know?
Larry is my 1995 Saab 9000 Aero. But tonight he's going to identify as a Griffin because I got the badge for it. So
yeah, I bought him a... he's been helping me with the coilovers, so I bought him a Griffin badge and some other stuff to help fix his 9000. So yeah. So
basically what happened is the CV axle boot for the outer joint was leaking on Larry. And so I was like, alright, we'll go ahead and just replace the whole axle assembly. Well, I ordered me a nice Chinese axle assembly, and wouldn't you know it, the outer tripod bearing is bigger on the Chinese cheapo one than it is on the original one. So you see these bearings right here, these rollers are larger on this one. Now what happens is they get these CV axles that they use for an example, and they don't differentiate between automatics and manuals between the 9000s. The 9000 manuals on the Aeros, they had a smaller tripod bearing than they did on the automatics. Don't ask me why, it's just how it happens. So it won't fit into the inner driver when you go to replace it. But on a parts website, they don't say this is for an automatic or a manual. They'll just say 9000 Aero, 9000 CS, CSE, whatever. So what I tried to do the other day, well, here, I'll pick this up again. So what I tried to do the other day was just take this tripod and swap it on to the new axle and just make it good. So I did that, and then I got in the car at like 6:30 in the morning to go drive to work, and it wouldn't go anywhere. The boot was spinning, but the axle was not. Neither was the wheel. The driver's side wheel was spinning, so I knew that I didn't screw the clutch up. The splines aren't as deep on the inside of this as they are on this axle. And there's no shoulder here. It just has a deeper groove in the shaft. There's a shoulder on that axle to keep that tripod from walking in. On this axle, there is not that shoulder. Since this has larger splines, or not larger splines, since the splines don't go as deep, it didn't catch on the end of the splines here, and that tripod walked its way in and was riding right about here, so it wouldn't go anywhere because that inner driver was spinning and just sitting here trying to spin that CV boot, and it wasn't actually engaging onto the shaft. So I took it off, and good news, I didn't f the car up, but bad news is I have a $60-something axle that I can't really use. So we ordered a new CV, an outer CV that we know is the right one, and a boot kit for the inside. We're going to try and hammer this outer CV off and put it onto the old axle and see if that works. And if that works, we'll return the parts and not worry about it. But if this one, the new one, does not fit onto the old axle or doesn't work for some reason, then we're going to use the ones that we ordered. And we just spent like 5 or 10 minutes, well, probably more than that, 20 or 30 minutes trying to get this little
snap ring
circlip out to get the outer CV off.
Later that same evening.
Or this outer CV will not work with the old shaft for one very simple reason. So this circlip is rectangular or squared off, if you want to call it that. So you have to pinch it in order to get the CV past it. On this one, it's got a round clip that seats into here. So you have to use some kind of special jig. I was just trying to slam it down here on the vise and that wasn't working. So it's got a round circlip in there, and it's got a round indentation in the shaft and a round indentation in this outer CV. So we're just gonna wait for the new parts to come and give her a good send on those again.
Continue from there.
Bad drive.
75 years later.
Here it is. This is the CV axle shaft minus the outer CV and the inner tripod. So we've got all of our parts here today.
Got a bunch of new parts to throw on here.
Which includes this boot for the outer CV. We've got our new outer CV ass imbly.
Nice and shiny.
And as you'll see on the, I guess the earlier part of this video, it has this indentation here and it has the squared off cutout on the internal splines of the outer CV. So we know that this is the right outer CV for this shaft and this application. Oh, look at this. We even got some good juice in a tube.
There we go.
That's gonna come in handy. Alright, we got our little circlip there for the outer CV, and then we've got our little clamps for the boots. Okay.
Stick some grease in there.
Just get her good and deep in there. You want to get some in there so it gets behind these balls, and then jam some around them. That way when she gets going, she doesn't run dry. And then once we get the axle on there, or once we get this on the axle, we'll kind of move it around a little bit to get some of that work through there so it doesn't run for a few miles dry on that bare metal. This main point of this is to just try and get it as into it as you can before you go working it through it. So all these ball bearings, you're gonna get right in there, just shoot it right in there. Right in there. If anybody's ever packed wheel bearings on an old truck with the spindle on the hub, you'll know what that entails. So on she goes. We took that circlip, and for the first time that we tried it, we actually put it on the axle and tried to hammer it down past this little bevel here. And if you can look in there, there's a bevel before those splines start in the outer CV. So we tried doing that, and that didn't work out so well. I figured we were kind of doing something wrong because we weren't making much progress. So we took that off per Jacob's suggestion because I would have just kept hammering it. So we took that off, and I put the circlip in the CV axle first, and I just gave it like 2 or 3 good whacks.
Straight in.
It just slid right in like butter, so that was the way to do it.
Slide that over there.
Oh yeah. This is like a culmination of like 2 weeks worth of around with trying to find the right parts and the wrong parts and this, that.
Finally got it all right.
Has to have some kind of tension behind it. This is what holds that inner tripod into this cup. And this cup goes into the transmission output shaft. And that's what connects your CV axle to the hub, turns the wheel, blah, blah, blah. Anyways, you gotta fill that full of grease. Don't fill this full of grease because it'll just make a mess. I'm just gonna ease it on in here. I mean, there we go. And she just kind of went all the way at once.
So it's all in there. Now we're going to have to reattach it right here to the hub and the brakes. Put the axle nut on and we'll be all done. So there you have it, guys. If you want to see more videos on the 9000 Aero, make sure to let me know down below in the comments because there's plenty of stuff that we can film on this car. So if you have video suggestions as well, leave those down below. But this is something new, unique to put on the channel, so I hope you all enjoy. Thank you all so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.